We are live.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Of all members present. One straggling in. So first up on the agenda is the organization of the commission, which is election of officers. It's president, vice president, and secretary. Anything, any motions on that?
I nominate Richie to be my president.
We're gonna do a slate or just one at a time?
Yeah, I nominate Trevor to be vice president. I'll second.
Okay.
He didn't I nominate Stacy to be secretary. I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passed. And next up is approval of the minutes from the December 17th, 2025 meeting. Any questions or corrections on those minutes?
Before you skip to that, are you reappointed to us?
Yeah. I think
There
so.
we go. There we go. It's official.
It's official.
Please don't otherwise, right?
I'm president this time, so
Oh,
it's
there you
official.
Okay, back to minutes. Okay, motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes. I'll second.
Any corrections or objections? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I don't think I was here, so I will.
Okay.
Who made the motion?
Kelly.
And you seconded.
I know, so I said.
4-0. All right, so financial matters, you have the information provided to you on the claims and all that. Any questions on the claims? One note that our treasurer's office pointed out is the interest rate has changed on our German American notes from 3.9% to 7.125%. So we're 10 years into that. Looks like we're getting the variable point of that loan. So we can keep that in mind with interest rates falling a little bit, potentially falling more. So then that might be something we want to look at here soon. But other than that, any questions on the claims?
Chris, do you know how often that readjusts?
First time I'm seeing it, so
Okay.
I'd say we're at a 10-year lock, so then at that point, whether it's quarterly, maybe as it changes.
Yeah.
Is there a motion on claims?
I'll make a motion to accept the claims as presented.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passed.
pretty real quick on that, was that the, that was a small one, wasn't it? German American.
That must have been something crazy. I'm not sure. We've had it
Well,
10
both.
years. since then.
Both?
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure they're on the same
Okay.
structure.
Yeah. So there's something from 10 years ago. Might as well.
So just for context on that, on the larger note, so we make payments every 6 months. So the last 6-month payment was $57,500.35. This payment is $58,730. So basically, about $1,200 increase on the every 6 months. So $2,600 on the year. It's not extremely bad, but it sounds worse than the interest rate. But something we can still keep in mind and think about. All right. All right, next up is President's Report, and there's really not been any activity on anything other than discussions on some of the building projects going on, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But as far as any of that activities, there's been no conversations of anything but the church that I know of that's been going on. So I don't have anything on that. So committee reports. Stacy?
Yeah, so, as we did work forward with, doing nominations, I reached out to Cody White as well as Melissa Turner. They are both in favor of being on the board, and Kelly spoke with Cindy Watts, and she would like to participate as well. So we could, if everyone agrees with those.
Is that a
Are there
motion?
any other recommendations? Well, I guess before, is everybody cool with those folks being on?
Yes, so it'd be those three, yourself, and
There were just four. I thought there were five originally. There's four.
This would be,
The events committee.
what about adding Jason to that?
It wasn't listed as one of the people, so we'll just bring him in on it. Yeah. I talked to him about it at the last meeting,
so you, Cody, Cindy, and
Melissa.
Melissa.
And I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passed.
We can get started on these items. This is in the month, I guess, the beginning of the month. We'll establish the meeting. Yeah, but always text us. Jake.
All right. Okay, now we're on to old business. Jeremy, do you have anything for us?
I don't have too much to report. We're working, it was discussed at the board works meeting, we're working on a bid package for replacing some point repairs on the 36-inch storm sewer along US 31. I think there's 3 or 4 locations where it's down valley. So we're working on a bid package to get that out to contractors. So we can get that fixed. We're gonna replace it back with 36-inch concrete pipe. But the cost to replace the whole line, it's just, I can't remember the exact number, but it's not cheap. So we're just gonna have to continue with the point repairs until we have the storm sewer fee put in place, and start, bringing in some money that way. So, we're continuing to work on that. We should have something else soon.
All right. And then Scott, have any updates for us on?
Sure. Yeah, Scott Adams with DC Develop. We're working with the city on the York Woods Crossing project. And I expect to see before the end of the week the latest iteration of the site plan. I know that I think tomorrow there's a call with Jeremy's team at Heritage to talk about the pump station, best location and alignment with the city system there. So we're trying to nail that down along with some of the drainage calculations now to best site the detention basin for the development. So once we have those two things kind of locked down, we'll be able to hone in on what does a first phase or first section look like. We don't want to end up running too much extra infrastructure in different directions that don't serve the lots in the section 1. So we kind of want to try and keep things as tight as we can for for efficiency and the sake of using the dollars wisely in this first section. So we're getting very close to being able to hone in on what section 1 may look like for the project. With that being said, I know I was just looking at my calendar. It looks like we met or had phone calls about 5 or 6 times in the months of November and December to talk about how to proceed with the project in general. What does that structure and framework look like? And so Baker Tilly was, on behalf of the city, was part of many of those discussions, or probably all, along with the city's legal counsel at Frost Brown Todd. So we had a number of different discussions about, hey, what's the structure going to ultimately look like? What's the potential funding sources? Who's contributing what and when? So all of those things were kind of on the table, but yet we haven't really locked down on anything specifically. And I think last time we spoke with you was you wanted to kind of allow your board to have some discussion regarding some of those things, which is, frankly, the right thing to do.
Right.
So the challenge for us at this point is that the RDA and IEDC, who are in control of the ready dollars, the $2 million that's been awarded to the project, have given us a March 1 deadline for basically providing them with all of the project information so they can kind of recertify the project. That's come a little bit sooner than we expected it to. I think there's a lot of pressure at the state level. We're just speculating on what I'm about to say here, is that a lot of pressure at the state level to rein in any unallocated or unencumbered funds to put to other uses around the state. That's our suspect. So they've kind of shortened the time frame for everybody to kind of get their act together and say, we're ready to move forward. So we're really going to be hustling through the month of February to kind of put everything together, which may require this board or maybe even other folks with the city to take some action or hold a special meeting if necessary to be able to put us in a position where we can file a completed package with the RDA to ensure that we can get those dollars. So with that said, we got a lot of work ahead of us over the next 4 or 5 weeks to get there. I think the biggest issue I think we had at the last time we met or over the course of the last few discussions was there was still a gap in funding.
Right.
Potentially the funding arrangement still had a gap. And I think Josh was speaking on our behalf at the time about, hey, how can we help make up that gap? I think he volunteered to, I think the gap was 400,000 if I remember right, or about that amount. We were in for 250, but that had a caveat of, hey, we weren't interested in that taxpayer agreement, if you remember that conversation. The taxpayer agreement puts us on the hook for any shortfall in property tax revenue to pay off or support the TIF bonds when they become due. The reason for that is simply we view and I believe that the market views Austin as a higher risk than most other locations. I think most of you are familiar with some of the challenges we've had at Meadowbrook, and it's a good example of potentially the risk associated with building in Austin. Doesn't mean that there's not a market in Austin, doesn't mean that people don't want to be in Austin or build in Austin. It's just that it's generally a higher risk proposition than other locations where builders and developers have a reasonable expectation of a return on the risk that they take. Austin just has a higher risk profile associated with it. Smaller community, and with not a lot of proven market activity to prove to builders, hey, there's depth here in the market to go and go deeper. So our resistance or lack of support for accepting a taxpayer agreement is based upon that. As a result, doesn't mean we don't want to go forward with the project. We very much want to see the project go forward. We do think that over time, The market can change and the winds can blow generally in favor of Austin. We just got to give it that chance. Meadowbrook again will be a very good, indicator of what's to come. And we'll see that here very soon. Most of you are probably aware we got the lots at Meadowbrook under contract. But also that contract is a little bit representative of what the builder sees as the risk. They've contracted to buy all of the lots, but not all at once. And it's over time, over about a year and a half. So we see that as an indicator that the builder also says, hey, wait a minute. Because like all builder contracts, they could potentially walk from the deal if they can't sell the houses that they put on the ground. We can hold their deposit, take their deposit as the penalty for them walking from the deal, which is customary in all of our contracts with builders these days. But if they get into a situation where they feel like they can't or won't go forward for whatever reason, they can walk out of the deal, and then we go back and try to find another builder. But those are just the realities of not just Austin, but we face that in Scottsburg and Clarksville, and Jeffersonville, and Albany, any market that we're working in. There's always that chance, always that risk. And usually what we end up with is a situation where the terms of the deal, whether it's the cost of the infrastructure, the amount of work to be performed, or the cost of the land, are really reflective of the risk that everyone's about to take. And so in the case of York Woods, to kind of take this full circle, I think the cost of the land is probably one issue that remains unresolved if a taxpayer agreement is a requirement. And it looks like it will be. That from what we understand, the IFA will require the taxpayer agreement. So if we're to accept the taxpayer agreement and stay engaged in the project, I think it's the land price that will ultimately be the determining factor there to help mitigate that risk. So I know I've covered a lot of territory. I'm happy to answer any questions. But I wanted to give you that update as to kind of where we are, what our planning looks like at this point. We've got our attorney working on an agreement that will very much mirror what we did in Scottsburg. It will have all the statutory requirements that the IFA requires, that the IADC requires, the RDA requires. But then we'll just need to input the specific terms associated with York Woods into the deal. So.
Okay. So yes, so from our end, as far as us having a chance to talk about it, that's why we've got Jason Simon be here. We're going to have we'll have executive session after this, and it's going to be contractual to be able to discuss it and educate everyone here on the board. I was not qualified to try to explain all this to everyone, and especially with one-on-one. So that's what we're going to do after when we conduct our regular meeting.
Yeah.
And then, yes, from those meetings, what I gathered was from Jason and Bo that the IFA is likely going to require that taxpayer agreement. So then how do we make that work? So yes, on the land purchase, in the proposal you guys originally submitted, there was that you would be buying, and there was a suggested range on that. So negotiations obviously hard when it's a board, and then individuals, we can't just sit here and hammer it out.
Sure.
But at the same time, having meetings obviously is a challenge too, and going back and forth and trying to get everybody back together. So do you have any insight as we take this information and look at this later, what your concessions are and what is something we can be talking about, working through? Obviously, we're going to have to still make our offer that works for us. But when you say land price and things like that, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there's two things. One, I think we could and maybe should, if let's just go for it. If there's a taxpayer agreement, my statement is, you know, the land price should offset the risk associated with acceptance of that taxpayer agreement. Because there is a potential that we don't meet, that the market won't accept what we forecasted in a way for the property taxes that are forecasted don't materialize. Then that puts all of the risk on us to make up for that. And so our proposal would be that the land price would be zero to offset for that risk. Now with that leaves the city still short of the dollars needed to make the whole financial equation work. So what we could do is we could look at a change in scope for the project. Instead of 54 lots, which is what we've always projected, that we look at a lower number of lots that can be constructed with the available funds that we know we've got. So if that shortfall of 400 were simply removed from the equation, we're now $400,000 short. We can go back and look at the development costs associated with the project and figure out what's the number of lots less than 54 that we can now deliver, knowing that we're $400,000 short. Now, there are some things that are going to be consistent or static in the way of the project. For example, I don't know that changes, say, the cost of the pump station. Okay, it's a very small number of lots potentially. It won't change pump sizes or wet well sizes or things, you know, force main sizes. So there's still a static number associated with a pump station and force main. Detention will ultimately have to be sized for the entire development, which is 120 lots, give or take. So there are certain things that will simply not change as a result of a lower number of lots. So we'll just have to go in and go through that exercise to figure out what's the right number to make up for a lower dollar amount available for the project overall.
So I mean, you're basically talking less road and less utility lines.
Yes.
How much does that really,
Yes.
that's not a,
Yeah,
that's not a big cost.
it just depends on where we draw the line, how many lots we can fit, where we draw that line. And what we don't yet have is, you know, we don't have a full grading plan completed yet. There's going to be some addition, you know, the site falls somewhat. So there's some other things that we need to look at and hone in on, just to make sure that we've got everything covered. If that's where we end up. So yes, you're right. You know, roadway, length of pipe, things of that nature are easily calculated. But there's some things that are a little bit more nebulous that we need to hone.
Mhm. Okay. So like I said, we will have a meeting to talk about this in more detail. Jason's got some numbers, to put it all in perspective to see where we're at on that. Any current questions on things? And then the second question would also be is, are you available, you know, for, if should we come up with something as we're speaking here, like the next hour or so?
Oh, sure.
Just give you a quick call.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure if I have your number or not. Let me write down, what's your cell phone number?
Sure, it's 502-376-7745.
Okay. And will you have the ability to answer, you know, if we get into detailed questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, so, and then I guess everything on Meadowbrook still proceeding forward? I mean,
Yes.
everything,
Yes, I believe the builder has submitted and those permits have been approved on the first 11 lots.
okay,
We've signed all of the closing documents. I think we're waiting on a FedEx package back from Texas
okay.
on their side of the transaction, and once those are received by the title company, it'll close.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other old business? Let's see. Okay.
there was just any other ideas. And, I'm sure you all probably saw the email that I sent out with the photos. He was just asking for some additional thoughts on the collage, if that's what we want to go forward with, or if we want to choose from one of his others, to give him some more in-depth information on what we can do. What was everyone's thoughts on? Do you like them?
I like the idea of the collage and that we could pick a few different things to go up there.
Yeah, I thought it was nice too.
I think that's a good first assignment for that committee.
Well, that falls outside of it.
It's a good starting point, good practice round.
So what you're saying is we just need to fill in boxes?
Yeah, he was wanting to have some more information on what we thought would be good to have in a collage, if we were to take that route, and if there was anything that we would like changed. As far as putting things on a shelf, the one that I wasn't so sure about was like the Santa.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's going to
No, I think,
stay away from zero.
I mean, it would be nice, we've always talked about the historic baseball team, we've talked about, I'm not sure about them.
Yeah. Well, then, the frames, and to make it look like a shelf, the frames kind of,
They stick out too much.
yeah,
They're too bold.
more than what the picture is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm crazy about it, and definitely not a ceramic eagle, you know.
Yeah.
It's,
It'd be an eagle. And this is nothing but if you're gonna do American Beauty property tomatoes. And so, rainbow beads.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. tomatoes were
I think you'd be better off with something just like the train up there. Less is best. When you drive by, you're not gonna read
yeah,
a collage.
That's true.
It's just gonna have to be something that jumps out at you
Yeah.
instead of
smaller.
little bitty
Well,
things all over.
Yeah, and even as big as what these are,
These are the options.
still, you're not gonna be able to focus on like the little.
This is the one we're talking about right now.
Yeah, the small.
Yeah, I don't think that, cause I can.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, and I do think
I
that our logo kind of
Yeah, some of them seem out of place.
placed in
Like
there.
that
Yeah. In order to kind of
I
spot.
See that?
think you do better job than
That was an option.
placement, and that's
That was another
spread
option.
things out or make it
I didn't like any of them.
brighter,
That
because
was
that
an
was, I
option.
didn't even like the.
We want a
piece,
UK
because you're
logo?
never gonna be able to
No, I
see
would take
what-
that train right there.
what it is.
Yeah.
That one right there on the city.
Yeah.
I would take that over all that junk. I mean, you just jump out, it's Austin.
Well,
Instead of you saying, what is this?
concept,
I
think
mean,
everybody likes the concept.
I made one that was basically the train.
Maybe,
I think you better, if you're driving by,
I would probably say.
You're not
just
gonna
the
read
framing
these.
idea and then try to
Okay.
spread them out.
Not gonna read that. you're not gonna pay attention to it.
You can't tell that that's a shelf.
Not gonna
No.
jump out at you. It needs to
Yeah,
jump,
I can't really tell that.
whatever
that's
it
what
is.
the concept was for him. I didn't even,
It's like that train. I'd like it
Real life.
to stand out more than what it does.
that there was any depth to it.
No.
This is another one.
What if, because I really do like that idea with the tomato.
Yeah,
think
I
that
could
would be
take that over
cool to implement that.
any of that other stuff.
The other side does say Austin already, doesn't it?
You're just talking about this, or are you talking about the whole thing?
Either or.
Either or. Yes.
Okay.
Show Stacy.
They've.
You already got it?
Yeah.
What was it?
He was saying something, he was pointing at that, and I just showed him that first one that we mocked up or something, plain.
I mean, I don't oppose Hardy Lake or Greenery
Something more
or,
recreational.
yes. Parks, or that's at the, something,
Yeah,
yeah.
we could bring some like a deer, or like some wildlife in that.
Well, or even, I mean, Broadway Park is scenic, it's got the field behind the trees.
I did that.
And the field, and we can make it look
We did that with Little League one time and they did all this stuff with the fence
And.
and it just looks like a jump because you can't read it. If it doesn't have Austin, that's a little this and a little that, this looks like nothing.
They explain who these are supposed to be.
And they did a good job, don't get me wrong, it was beautiful painted, but
I mean, I can send her.
too much detail.
So he just holds it there.
So let's start from, let's go different route.
Yeah, let's try.
Okay.
At least give him another option. See what he can.
Yeah.
I resent that first one that I rendered, see if he wants to put a spin on that maybe. Because it is more what you were saying, like it has the lake in the background and like nature, then it has an eagle and you could add deer or whatever you wanted. That's that first one. I think that artist will do good work though.
I do too.
And he probably can't get us a actual bid until we have a design locked down.
Right.
And then you got that column in the middle. You almost have two, you almost have two pallets there or how somebody work that in. So that's the one challenge too.
The schedule's probably pretty open right now too. For outside murals.
Well,
Yeah.
even if we could
Start next week.
start spring.
Painting, dry quick.
I got a Kentucky flag, you could put it in the middle of that if you needed something.
Not after last night's game.
Well, could be Vanderbilt now.
All right, so back to drawing board. All right.
Okay.
All right, any other old business? All right, hearing none, go on to new business. You've been presented with contract for employment, the attorney for the year 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Any questions? All in favor?
Fine.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passed. Any other new business? Any other business? All right, so with that, that should wrap everything up. And Scott, also keep in mind that our next meeting is February 25th. So when you're talking about a wrap up, if are there days after that to give you time to do that final wrap up, and then maybe approval if we need something, just keep that in mind. If not, let me know. We'll see about the schedule.
Sure.
So hopefully the 25th will work for something like that.
Agreed.
As long, as long as it doesn't pin any other big decision we might have to make as opposed to just an adjustment.
Yes, agreed.
Okay. All right. That's all. Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Meeting closed. Thank you, everyone.